champion is clad in big orange. The pitch. Swing into this! That's the ball game! The national champion is clad in big orange.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title.
The SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
The 1-0.
In the air, right center field. Bronx on the move, won't get there. Tennessee walks it off.
This is a mismatch. Deep three. Come on now. And Dalton gonna probably try you this time. Indeed. New handstand. Hooker. Down the middle. Got it on the fly. It's high and again. And he's gonna take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, college football at its absolute best.
This is college athletics at its absolute best. Welcome into a Sunday night streaming the Vol Fanatic Show, another episode. I am your boy Skylar, my co-host Michael. How we doing on yet another Victory Sunday?
Hey, it's always good coming off of a victory, man. Got a big one coming up this weekend. It's got a lot of things on the line this weekend, so can't be more excited right now. How are you doing, man?
Dude, doing pretty good. That chaotic Saturday, it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk a little bit about it, but 2 of your top 5 teams in the nation go down. Karen has liked the show on Facebook. Thank you so much. Justin on YouTube already waving at us saying he is here. He is in the chat. Thank you so much. We got several folks watching on Facebook and on YouTube. Do us a favor, just like the show and share it. Share the show. Get everybody in here. Let's talk some football, man. We're gonna talk some volunteer football because we got kind of some drama going on right now in the program. We gotta clean it up. Got to get healthy, and then we got what honestly is probably Heupel's biggest game of his career coming up in Athens Saturday. But before we get into all of that, I want to let you guys know exactly who is our presenting show sponsor, and that is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he started his own agency where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today. Give him a call at 865-272-3387. Guys, Chris is one of those guys. One, obviously, he supports our show. Secondly, he's one of those guys where, insurance is great if you don't have to use it, right? You're just paying that monthly subscription, basically. But I tell you what, Chris Smith is one of those guys where if something were to go wrong and you actually have to file a claim, he's a guy that's going to show up at your doorstep and give you a helping hand along the way. So we appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for all you do. It's Me has tuned in. He said, Ugga is mad as fill in the blank. I tell you what,
Hey, it's me. It's me. I got to ask you something though. Where you been the last couple of weeks? Because after Tennessee beat Alabama, you just kind of disappeared for a little bit.
He did. For all of y'all listening, It's Me is a vivid Bama fan, and let us know about it leading up to the game. And then Michael's kind of right. He kind of disappeared after we beat Bama, but he's back to talk a little bit more smack about. Honestly, just real quick about that though, about that comment. I don't know if they're mad as much as they are just disappointed. You kind of thought if Carson Beck was coming back, that was the big deal. You thought he'd come back and be even better. And honestly, he's not been better. In fact, he's really, really taken a step back, and it's kind of frustrating. But you look at the Georgia team as a whole, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we'll talk about it. All right,
we're jumping ahead a little bit, but no, it's me. We appreciate you tuning in to us. But yeah, we've got a loaded show once again tonight as we're going to talk a little bit about that matchup last night with Mississippi State in segment number 1. Segment 2 is going to be all about Tennessee and Georgia, the upcoming matchup for this weekend. Segment 3, it is the pick segment. Skylar, he got most of his picks right last week. So we'll see what that does with the pick segment. And then segment 4, it is the Raking with Jake. So Skylar, without further ado, I'm going to give the folks our segment 1 sponsor so we can get right into this thing. All right, our segment 1 sponsor, it is, of course, Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured. We specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. You can contact Jeff Mull at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. We appreciate Jeff very much for being our segment 1 sponsor. And Skylar, Tennessee 33, Mississippi State 14. Initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, real quick. Justin, thank you for liking on the Facebook. We appreciate you guys. Continue to do that. Continue to share the show. We got to get some people in here. Let's see. Initial thoughts, 33-14. My initial thoughts is we don't know what style points are. We are a team that's going to play up and down to our level of competition. I'll say this. Nico, I think, looked really good in the first half. Dylan Sampson is going to have to clean up the fumbles. At first I thought it was just kind of like a no big deal, but it's turning into he's having won a game, and he's having won a game in the first half. I don't know what that's all about. Got to clean that up. But overall, you handle business. Nico was absent the entire second half. Had a lot of, injury scares tonight. Honestly, we've been very, very fortunate to not really get hit with the injury bug all season long, and this game really took a toll on our team. So, that's my initial thoughts. Defense held another opponent under 20 points. You expected that with this team in Mississippi State, just not really finding a good identity. But I'll tell you what, they ran the ball down our throat yesterday. But overall, you got the win. Was it ugly? Sure. But you're 8-1 and technically right now at the top of the SEC standings. So that's my initial thoughts.
Look, at this point, though, we are 9 games into the season. Is an ugly win basically what we're going to have to come to expect from this Tennessee team this season? Because it's happened every single week since Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So, the last 5 games.
Really, since conference play started. Yeah, exactly. Oklahoma. We don't know really how to, I guess, keep the throttle down. I don't know what it is about it, but, there's been a lot of speculation around Nico. But there's been, obviously concussion protocol. There's been rumors about a collarbone. There's been rumors about several things. All we know is it's upper body, right? And secondly, Josh Heupel laughed at the comment when somebody asked him about the status of Nico because they went straight for the buzzkill like, hey, is it season injuring? Josh kind of laughed it off. Was like, hey, no, it was precautionary. We anticipate him being ready to go for Georgia. Now, I've got a couple takes on that. One, the fact that he laughed about it shows me that, okay, it's not serious. If he would have kind of kept it, if he would have kind of kept it to himself, like, hey, well, we'll just have to see, day to day, whatever, we'll get him checked out. We'll come up with, he could have absolutely said that, waited till the Monday press conference tomorrow to kind of give you a better idea. He didn't do that. He laughed. He shrugged it off. So I don't think it's serious. I don't think it's a broken collarbone or anything like that. Another reason why I don't think that is because usually when you break a collarbone, the first thing you do is that right there. You either hold your shoulder or you put your arm in a sling position. I would know that. I've broken my collarbone. Nico didn't really do that at all on the sideline. Now, of course, his arm is still, we don't know why. There's videos of that circulating around. But he had a towel over his head as he was leaving. There's a video of him with a towel over his head. That shows me that maybe his helmet smacked the turf, maybe concussion protocol, just something like that. I don't know. But overall, the way Josh Heupel answered that question shows me that I don't think it's anything serious. Now, here's the second take to that. What happened to Florida State last year when they announced that their starting quarterback was out? Now, obviously, they couldn't really help that. Everybody's seen what happened. But even if this was something serious with Nico, I don't think Josh Heupel is going to come out and say Nico's out for the season. I don't. I think he would either continuously say, hey, we're day to day. He's making progress. Or week to week. Or not even answer the question, period. If Nico was seriously hurt for the rest of the season, I don't think we would ever know about it other than game day if he doesn't play or not. What say you about that?
I'd say you're probably right there. Now, I will say with teams having to release injury reports now, he would probably – I don't know if he would just – yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he would just flat out say out on there until we know for sure that he is out. I mean, obviously, if you go on for the next couple of weeks and he's out, it's out. At that point, it's probably season ending. But
I hear you, but he can put out a day before the game.
Right.
He can keep putting questionable up until that. And if it comes down to the committee having to make a decision, I'm just saying, like, hypothetical, yeah, you're saying, yeah, he's making progress, especially if we're down, going into December, right? At this point, let's say we're 10-2 or 11-1 even, but we're 10-2, we're going into December, and they got to pick their 12 top teams, right? Yeah, if I'm Josh Heupel, I know Nico hasn't played the last 4 games, but I'm going to continue to say, hey, he's making progress. Hey, he's getting better day by day, and we're really hoping and having him back. There's nothing wrong with saying that he's not lying, or is he? We don't really know, but I just think that whole situation, I don't think it's serious the way he answered the question. Urge y'all guys to kind of go look up that video, but even if it was serious, I don't think Josh Heupel's going to come out and just say it. I think he's going to kind of keep it hush hush.
And I have another take on it too. And, at first I was like, all right, Nico's not coming out for the second half. He's out for the rest of the game. What's going to happen next week against Georgia? But then I got to think about it. I was like, okay, he's not even on the sideline. They left him in the locker room. Is this not just a, we're going to keep it hush hush type thing? He's not really hurt. We are trying to make sure that he is healthy for next week, but we're also not going to bring him out in front of everybody just because we don't want there to be any speculations towards this or that as far as the injury goes. I kind of think it's more of that lines than him being seriously hurt as well.
Yeah, right on. We have no idea, but overall, Gaston Moore stepped in. I think did okay. Obviously, it was a little shaky at start. I mean, you got to think his last passing attempt was an interception, but he came in and honestly handled business. The game, play calling was a little frustrating because I felt like we just tried to force the run a little bit too much and almost ended up getting Dylan Sampson hurt because we're running on a 9-man box the entire night. But overall, the team still found a way to run the ball. And overall, I mean, you made it a boring game, but you never really allowed Mississippi State to come back. I mean, in the second half, you held the ball for like 20-something minutes. I mean, you just kept the ball away from Mississippi State. Yet another different way that we've won a ball game, albeit, I get it, the worst team record-wise in the SEC, but you got to do what you got to do when the injury bug hits. And against Mississippi State at home, it hit in a big way. Yeah, I mean, you lost Nico for the entire second half. Dylan Sampson went down towards the end of the first half. Now, obviously, he did come back in. Dante Thornton, did he come back at all at the end of that game? He did not in the fourth quarter.
So, Dante, you had Javonte Spraggins go down at one point. I do think he came back in, though. Sure. And then James Pierce also went down at one point. I kind of think his was just he either got landed on wrong or kind of got Charlie Horse, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And he obviously came back in and he had a huge impact in the game, just like he always does. But it's always those type of games that you worry about your team because that's the games where the season-ending injuries are more likely to happen. And there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just the way the game rolls sometimes that it happens in a game like this. So this week at practice, you got to make sure that you're ready to play against Georgia. You're getting ready to play, but you've also got to get healthy as well. But, we'll kind of get into a little bit more of that in our next segment, talking about Georgia. Let's talk some about this game here because, Tennessee dominated this game from start to finish, even though it didn't really feel like it most of the time. Score 7 in the first. Hey, we scored
in the first?
We scored 20 first half points. That hadn't happened since either Oklahoma or Kent State. We scored 20 first half points.
We scored 19 Oklahoma in the first half, I believe. So,
all right. So,
but yeah, you're absolutely right. The offense kind of started from the start, at least. It's me says Mississippi State. He kind of kept on going about Mississippi State, kind of just hate playing Mississippi State because obviously injuries happen. Said that they're some big boys and they're taught to pile on. I don't know about all of that. But Karen tunes in, says, yay, absolutely. It's a big win for sure. Like you mentioned earlier, it's a win in the SEC, and you're seeing other teams not being able to do that. You're stumbling up on some teams. Obviously, we stumbled up on Arkansas earlier in the year, but like I told you back then, I think that was a great learning point. As long as we went and beat Bama and carry the fight to Georgia with only one loss, like we have a chance. We kind of control our own destiny for sure. And also, you almost can afford to lose to Georgia now with all the turmoil we've had at the top. But one guy we haven't mentioned, you don't have him on the screen, but absolutely had his best game of his career, his young career, Boot Carter. Had a coming out party. You've seen him everywhere on the defense. Got his first career interception as a true freshman. Also made some big plays in the return game. Could have absolutely had a return, but he kept it in the middle instead of bouncing it out. But it's fine. He's a young guy. He's still reading the field. He's electric. Obviously, he's young, so he's hungry. And I thought we needed that in the punt return game. I didn't feel like our guys that were returning the football were hungry. Squirrel White's great.
Jermod McCoy, he's great as well. But
I was thinking the other number 3. But I just don't feel like they're hungry. Like they don't feel like they have to prove anything to return that ball. And I just felt like Boot Carter had a different aura about him, and the way he returned the ball did a great job.
And look, I've been calling for Boot Carter to be the punt returner all year long because in high school he was a two-way athlete. He was a standout on defense. He was a awesome slot wide receiver. In high school as well. He's just dynamic with the ball, and he's just a playmaker, man. And you've got to get your playmakers the ball. That's exactly why we had help me out, D. Williams.
Yes. That's
why we had D. Williams as the punt returner, because of how dynamic he was with the ball in his hands. Now, we couldn't get him ready for offense like we wanted to, but
correct.
There was a reason why he was the punt returner, just because of how dynamic he was with the ball. Boot Carter's the exact same way, and he is going to be dangerous over these next couple of years. He's a true freshman, and he's already outplaying so many people on the team just because of how dynamic he is.
Yeah, who's the kid that went to Alabama, transferred to Ohio State, true sophomore?
Caleb
secondary.
Downs.
Caleb Downs. I'm not saying he's that level. Caleb Downs is a generational talent. But it's not out of the realm to start talking about Boot Carter the way some folks are talking about Caleb Downs, because Boot Carter, like I said, true freshman, really started playing day one. He was in the rotation 100%. Now, obviously, some of that was due to injury, but he stepped in, he filled that role, and now he's excelling in it. And we're entering the back quarter of the season with 3 games left to go. And this could be a spot where Boot Carter could really accelerate his development and become not just a playmaker, but honestly one of the best players on the defense. I think he can be that guy, and the position that he plays allows him to do that. He can be a coverage at one point. He can be blitzing the next moment. He can be, he's got so many different responsibilities in the role that he's playing, but he does them so well. The way he covers the flat and lowers the shoulder, my goodness. The kid's 18 years old. I love what I'm seeing out of him. Absolutely had a great day. And then, like I said, the return game, you mentioned it in high school. He was a dual threat kind of player, played both sides of the ball. I love just seeing him getting an opportunity to have the ball in his hands. You see he tries to make a play. And as long as he protects that ball, I think the job's his as long as he wants it. So, Boot Carter
I totally agree with you. And I want to give you credit for this too. At the beginning of the season, you said Boot Carter might not start right away, but because of the impact he's going to have when he gets on the field, by the end of the season, he will be a starter. And sure enough, first play of the game yesterday on the defensive side of the ball, he comes up and gets a huge TFL right off the bat. He made his presence known right away. But I want to swap over to the offensive side of the ball for a minute, because another young guy that stepped up because he had to. One, because of injuries, but also it was his time. Peyton Lewis, man. Deshaun Bishop was out for yesterday's game. That was more of a precautionary thing too. They're wanting to make sure that he's completely healthy for Georgia. They didn't want to risk getting him hurt for yesterday's game. That was said this past week. That's not me speculating. So, and then Cam Seldon is still kind of dealing with injuries. They're trying to work his way back. I've got a feeling.
I heard from sources they were trying to redshirt him.
And they
actually ended up having to burn the red shirt last night, because when Dylan Sampson went down, you didn't really know what the status of that was, and now you're down to literally just Peyton Lewis and maybe Khalifa Keith, but I'm not sure about Khalifa Keith. So they had to burn his red shirt. He came in a big way. Now I want to see Cam Seldon take that and run with it. Let's see if he can't battle back for that number 2 position, because now at this point, I mean, you got to have it. You got to have him, but, Cam Seldon is, I think, completely healthy. I mean, he played last night. You've seen him, and I think he ran pretty hard. He didn't get a lot of opportunities, but he came in when he was asked to, and I think that speaks volumes on his character. So.
Yeah, but, Peyton Lewis, there's a reason why Cam Seldon didn't come in more. Peyton Lewis, when he came in for Dylan Sampson, he took advantage of all of it. And that,
another true freshman.
What was it, a third down run that he had, or maybe a second down run where he just plowed over the safety for the first down? I mean, that was a grown man type run.
Well, he learned because he got stuffed on the goal line from tiptoeing. And that was a learning moment. 4th and goal on the 1 yard line, and you hand it to him, and you could kind of tell he was just looking for the hole instead of making one. And as a freshman, he'll learn from that, and he did. And that play right there, I think that was him learning on the fly. Literally, that night, he realized, I got to be a little bit more physical. He's got the size to be a really physical, talented back. He's kind of quick, too, honestly. It doesn't look like it because he kind of has like a body figure of, I don't want to say Derrick Henry because, he's one of the best running backs in the league, but just having that size with the speed to go with it. Maybe not the quickest guy, but, or fastest in acceleration, but top speed's definitely there, and he can run somebody over. Just wish we would have seen that on that 4th and goal. That one stung a little bit.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about body type, it's okay to compare him to Derrick Henry because he does have the body type of Derrick Henry. Obviously, that skill set is not there, or at least maybe not to this point. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that he couldn't get at least close to that. But, obviously, Derrick Henry, just like you said about Caleb Downs, he's a generational talent. Nobody is going to be Derrick Henry, but Peyton Lewis could absolutely have that skill set the more experience that he gets on the field. But
100%. What about the wide receivers? What thoughts about them? Did we notice any drops in this game?
So I didn't notice any blatant drops yesterday like we saw against Kentucky. So that's another reason why I'm very optimistic going into Saturday, as long as everybody is healthy, because a healthy Nico, with the way he's been playing, now he did have a couple of missed throws yesterday, but it hadn't been, or it wasn't as many as we have seen earlier this year. So Nico playing the way he is now, along with wide receivers not dropping passes, plus Dylan Sampson, Peyton Lewis, and the crew doing their thing on the ground, Tennessee is peaking at the right time, are they not?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to call it peak because I think we're far from that, but I think we're playing pretty good all-around football. Obviously, still got a lot to work on the offense. But overall, I say offense, passing game offense. The running game's been there. Dylan Sampson, another 149, 30 carries for 149 yards, a touchdown. By the way, did not realize that was career highs in both of those categories. Carries, sure. Because Heupel's offense, you only want your backs to really carry about 14 times at the most. Last year you had a 3 tailback system, and never, ever did those 3 backs ever eclipse 15 carries. But, Dylan Sampson holding down the running game, the offensive line getting a great push. It's the passing game, whether it's catching the ball, whether it's the ball being there on time. Nico, I've realized, right, and especially being at the game yesterday, our wide receivers are no joke, like 6 inches taller than some of these defenders.
Oh, yeah.
Just give them a freaking chance. Just throw the ball. You've seen it with Dante Thornton, 70-yard bomb. He underthrew the crap out of it, but he gave his guy a chance. When you give your guy a chance, one, it shows that you trust in him. 2, even if he gives up an interception there, Dante is right there to tackle him, and it's a punt. It's better than a punt. It's 70 yards down the field. It's just one of those things where underthrowing sometimes is a little bit better than overthrowing because at least you give your guy a chance. And obviously it depends on the situation. If it's first down, if it's 1st and 10, obviously that's not a good situation to do that. But if it's 3rd and 9 or whatever, and you throw a route like that and it does get intercepted, you just got to weigh it, obviously. And I don't know. It just, to me, give your guy a chance. Let's see what he can do because I trust in Dante Thornton. I trust in Brew McCoy. I don't know if Brew McCoy's had a touchdown yet this year.
He is not. Him and Squirrel before yesterday did not have a touchdown. Squirrel finally got his first one yesterday. Brew is still yet to get a touchdown this year,
which is crazy because Brew is the best all-around wide receiver we got on the team. It's not even close. It's
Absolutely.
not even close. It's not even close. So I would love to keep seeing our passing game evolve, get those guys just in the game. I mean, I loved seeing the sideline to sideline pass again. I know like last year we hated seeing it because that was all joke and throw, but bring back the quick wide receiver screens. Get you guys in the game. Let them run somebody over. Get them fired up and kind of flip the momentum because the way defenses are playing you, I mean, they're giving you 8 yards off the rip. Just throw the guy the ball and let him make a move. I mean, overall, though, like I said, this offense, I'm not going to say it's peaking, but definitely improving in certain areas each different week. And I like to see it all come together. We're going to need it to come on, together against Georgia coming up this week. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But my biggest concern defensively, if I can throw it back, is we can't let a team run it down our throat when you know that that's their game plan because they don't really have a passing offense. So that irritated the crap out of me, knowing how dominant our defense is, but yet we gave up, I think, 180 yards on the ground.
179, so right at 180. Yeah. But yeah, there was way too many open gaps, especially in the middle, like that 15-yard touchdown or whatever that Mississippi State ran there in the second half. There was no reason that the hole should have been that big in the middle because he literally went untouched into the end zone off of that run. So yeah, need to clean that up a little bit. Other than that, I do have one more thing I want to touch on. You got to give credit where credit's due. Max Gilbert, man. You got your confidence back, man.
I wasn't even worried about that. Go back and watch last week's episode. I wasn't even worried about it.
I agree, but he needed a game like that where he could get his confidence back because I really do think, especially after last week, his confidence was shaken.
Sure.
And the fact that he made that first one, it was a little chip shot, and it's like all that weight was relieved from his shoulders, and then that 51-yarder that he made, as soon as he kicked it, he turned to the sideline and he's like, I know it. It's in. No doubt about it. So
that's his career long, too. So, I mean, he went from his career worst 0-3 to, I think he was 4 for 4, maybe 3 for 3. But
he was
nailed
4 for 4 in the game.
Nailed a 51-yarder, and that was his first ever 50-yard plus field goal. And what was frustrating about it up to that game is he's nailing 60-yarders in pregame warm-ups. I'm watching him do it. He's got the leg. It's insane. And he's honestly accurate with it, too. It's not like he's just kicking it long, but last night it was being there and watching the 51-yarder go in through the uprights. No joke, had another 10 yards if you wanted it. And the crowd, I mean, you would have thought we just beat Bama. Like everybody I thought we were going to storm the field after a field goal kick, dude. Like it was insane. But it was good. It was good to see him celebrate that. And I think that kind of was like, and I told y'all this last week. Every kicker has a bad game. And as long as the support around him stays strong, he'll overcome it. And he did. And I think he did amazing. I mean, wasn't worried about it whatsoever. But it's just one of those things where he missed the first one, got in his head, went off the rails a little bit against Kentucky, but got back on the right track against Mississippi State.
Yeah. And look, guys, if there is any Mississippi State fans that are watching this, whether it's live or whether it's later on the YouTube, you guys are going to have your chance down the road. I mean, y'all got a lot of young talent on this team. There's a lot to build on this year. I'm not so confident in your defensive coordinator. But as far as the team as a whole, there's a lot of young talent on this team that's going to give some people some problems in the coming years. Jeff Lebby has got a lot to build on.
I mean, Van Buren's still just a freshman.
Exactly.
And I thought he was very poised. Got the ball out of his hand very quick, which was very frustrating. Like I felt like we could have had like 8 sacks last night, but they were doing such a good job of getting the ball out of his hands and kept us from really getting to him. Now, obviously, we got to him a couple times, especially there late when you knew it was passing down situations. But overall, I think they came in with a pretty good game plan, executed it, ran the ball very well. And
the way that he steps up in the pocket to avoid that pressure, too, that's something that a lot of experienced quarterbacks struggle with. And he did not look like a freshman when it came to standing into the pocket.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out another name, and y'all can think that I'm crazy, but Dak Prescott, he reminds me a lot of him. I mean, I think Dak Prescott wasn't honestly a world beater quarterback at Mississippi State until his final year there. I mean, he was a very much a mid quarterback and then kind of just took that leap, that next step that they needed, and really took over, carried that team, honestly, to an SEC almost a playoff. I don't think they got to the SEC championship. But I think Dak was the initial number 1 ranking, right, in the playoff.
Yep.
That was yeah. I mean, took Mississippi State to heights that they ain't been ever, really. But Van Buren has that body type to him, and I think that he could absolutely turn into a player like that. Now, hopefully he has a better professional career than Dak, but we'll see. You got anything you want to wrap up against Mississippi State before we start talking a little bit of Georgia? It is Georgia hate week, and I'm ready for it, honestly.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's get to talking about this Georgia matchup because it's a big one, man.
Yeah, let's do it. So without further ado, our segment 2 sponsor is PNLBusinessServices.com is how you can reach them. But we know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Reach out to PNLBusinessServices.com for more information. Thank you guys so much for another month of supporting our segment 2. So it's Georgia hate week, right? It's Tennessee, it's Georgia. It looks like you put up the AP rankings here. Number 6 in the AP for Tennessee didn't really get a big boost because Indiana took care of business, albeit barely, against Michigan. So they kind of jumped us. Georgia dropped miles. I mean, I think they went from number 3 to 11 in the AP, or no, number 2 to 11 in the AP. They were number 3 in the CFP. So no longer right now, according to the AP, no longer a top 10 matchup. Now, I think that's BS. I think this will be a top 10 matchup when the CFP rankings come out Tuesday night. Let's see. My initial thoughts. Is Kirby got the cojones to bench Carson Beck for this game?
I'm not going to say that he doesn't.
Does he still truly believe that quarterback gives Georgia the best chance to win? Now, it's twofold, right? Because I don't follow that program like I follow Tennessee. Carson Beck may be the only reason why they've won 7 games this year. I don't know. I'm seeing a kid that feels like he's having to try so hard that he's making a lot of mistakes. I mean, the kid has got I think an interception in 7 of the last 8 games, and he's thrown like 12 in the last 6 games. I mean, it's getting ridiculous on how many times he's turning the ball over and not taking care of the ball.
Look, you said it right there. He is trying to do too much because he has to.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Look, Georgia this season has a total of 1,117 rushing yards as a team. Dylan Sampson by himself has got 1,129. He is out rushing by himself the entire Georgia team. This is not like Georgia. Georgia is a team that lives off the running game. That's what they have built upon over the last few years when they have been dominant, and you've had a quarterback that can do just enough. That's why Carson Beck was as good as he was last year, because they had a running game that did just enough to help him out. Yes, he threw for over 300 yards in just about every single game, but he didn't have to force things the way he is this year. Carson Beck, 210 completions on 321 pass attempts. Now,
that's telling as it is.
Yeah, I know that Tennessee is a team that has kind of had to run the ball a little bit more this year because of some struggles in the passing game. But Carson Beck has thrown exactly 100 more passes than Nico has this year, who is 144 for 221.
That's legitimately 4 games worth for Nico. I mean, Nico probably averages 20 to 25 attempts a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty wild. And to follow that, to backpack that, the reason why, I don't know if it's a play caller standpoint or if it's the fact they just can't run the ball, but ETN is their leading rusher with 95 carries, which is less than half of what Dylan Sampson has now, albeit Dylan Sampson's our workhorse. Only 477 yards, 7 touchdowns. Just to put that in perspective, ETN, 95 carries, 477 yards, 7 touchdowns. Dylan Sampson, 201 carries, 1,129 yards, 20 touchdowns. The running game for Georgia is gone. Where is it at? And how did Kirby lose it just like that?
And look, let me read this stat for you. All right. So Georgia on the season for the whole team, 269 total carries for 1,117 yards. Tennessee as a team,
2K.
420 carries for 2,116 yards. Tennessee has rushed for exactly 999 more yards than Georgia has so far this season. You said it right at the beginning. Carson Beck is having to do too much, and because of that, he's trying too hard. He's forcing things where he shouldn't, and that is where all the interceptions have come from.
Yeah, I think I know we kind of went straight there, but I think that's where this game lies. It lies on the offenses. I think both defenses are elite. I know Ole Miss kind of put up 28, but I still think Georgia's defense is elite. To me, it's all on the offenses. Tennessee's had their struggles. Georgia's had, I honestly think, a little bit more struggle. With I get it. They've been able to hide it very well because they got, they a close loss to Alabama. But they beat Texas, which kind of covered their issues, right? Because they got a good big win, don't get me wrong. But, Georgia's got some serious issues. And I don't understand where they came from, how they got there. But I think the offensive line could do a lot better for Carson Beck. The dude's getting molested in the backfield all the time, and he's not that dual threat guy. Now, he can hurt you with his legs if you let him, but he's not that kind of guy with the loosest speed that's going to get away from a guy like James Pierce Jr. Van Buren, credit to the kid. He got away from James Pierce Jr. a couple times. I think he got held several times, but I ain't going to go down that road. Van Buren had the speed to kind of get away sometimes. I don't think Carson Beck's got that. If Carson Beck's in that position where he's got to run away from somebody, he's going to have to throw the ball away immediately, or it's going to be a sack, and he's going to have to learn to protect the ball, especially against Tennessee's defense, who's been able to get some takeaways in multiple weeks, consecutive weeks now. And so this game to me lies on the offenses, straight up. The running game, maybe, sure, but I think more than that, it's in the offensive lines. How well are they going to protect their quarterbacks? And how well they're going to be able to have a balanced attack to keep the defense on their toes as much as possible. Because I'm telling you, I don't think that this is going to be a world beater of a game. I think this is going to be yet another ugly game. And honestly, if the over-under for both teams was at 40, I would still take the under. This could be a very low-scoring dog fight. And I hate to use that term, but I don't, because it's ugly, it's smoky, and I think this could be an absolute dog fight this weekend.
Yeah, I completely agree. We talked about the Tennessee-Alabama game. The first team to get to 30 will win this ball game. You can say that about this one too. And honestly, it might be the first one that can get to 20 will win this ball game. It's going to be probably a sloppy game. It's definitely going to be a defensive type of game. Both offenses are going to have to take care of the ball if they want to have any chance of winning. Here is where I think Tennessee has an advantage, and it's an obvious one. It is the running game, because Tennessee can absolutely run the ball. The passing game is starting to come around. Now, obviously, that all hinges on Nico being healthy, because I'll go ahead and tell you, I love Gaston Moore. Gaston Moore will not win us this football game at quarterback. The only way that Tennessee
throw in Jake Merklinger. Let's see what he's got.
No,
I got you.
Now, I will say, I still don't think that Merklinger could win this game for us.
But hear me out,
it would be his first start.
If that were to happen, though, you got to think about who can step up around him. Because obviously, yes, Gaston Moore's not going to win the game, but could the defense get you a touchdown? Special teams come up big.
Yeah.
How well do we run the ball? And obviously, we ran the ball against Mississippi State, albeit it's Mississippi State. We ran the ball against a 9-man box and still got positive yards on each run. Like, that, to me, is insane. I don't care how bad a team is. When you can run the ball and you're outnumbered like 8 to 9 to like only 5 blockers and you're still getting 3 yards a carry, what kind of push are we going to see from our offense if that's the case? I hope that we can bank on Nico being in this game. And here's where I feel, Ladybug. Oops. Here's where I feel cautionary optimistic, I guess, is the way I want to put it. If we have a lead going into halftime, I feel really good. I feel like really good if we have the lead going into halftime.
You've got to, because of how many games Tennessee's been behind at halftime and still come back and won.
That, and I think if we can get them into obvious passing situations, I think that's only going to unlock our full potential on the defense, because you let our defensive line just kind of eat, and like I said, I just think uber confident on that one. Jennifer Williamson, thank you so much for the like on Facebook. We really do appreciate you on that. No, I just, like I said, if we can somehow manage, and it's not going to be a big lead, I don't think. I mean, this could be like a 13-7, 10-13 type lead going into halftime. But I mean, our offense for some reason tends to click in the second half a little bit more than the first half this season. I feel really good. It's just, how do we get there? Because obviously Athens is going to be rocking. It's probably going to be the loudest environment, especially coming off of, I think in a way this helps Georgia. All right, this is going to sound stupid, but now that they've lost a couple, they actually feel like their backs are against the wall. And they haven't had to feel like that in a while. I mean, they've been.
That's exactly what I said last week. The reason why I didn't want Ole Miss to win that game, because I fear playing a Georgia team coming off a loss, especially like you said, their backs are against the wall now. If they lose one more game, their shot at the playoffs is gone.
Yeah, I mean, their losses at that point would be what? Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. Damn, what a schedule. No, not Texas. Alabama. Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss. Sorry, yes. They did play Texas, but they beat Texas.
Yeah.
What a schedule. What a schedule. Those are the absolute best 3 losses a team could have. I think they're the only team that could have 3 losses and make the playoff. But other than that, I mean, you're absolutely the outside looking in, and you're going to need the ACC to absolutely flunk, which that did sort of happen. They're going to need SMU to kind of crap the bed. BYU needs to, which they should have lost last night. That was insane. Anyways, but I think if any team has an argument here, Georgia does have a win over Texas with the 3 best losses. You've seen this committee kind of reward good losses more than good wins, which is crazy in my opinion. But Georgia is the only team I know that could probably get in with 3 losses, but boy, do they need a lot of help, and they don't want to be in that situation. They want to come out. They're going to protect the home field. Kirby, I don't know if Kirby's lost 2 in a row in his tenure. I know he lost several games in his first year there. We beat him in the first year there, but I don't know if he ever lost consecutively. I don't know. Here's where I feel a little better about it, because I thought there was no chance we're winning this game after Ole Miss won. I don't think Carson Beck's just going to wake up Saturday morning and fix all of his issues.
No.
I don't think the offensive line is going to wake up and fix all their issues against the best defensive line in the country. I'm just saying it. You can call me a homer. I don't care. I've got the stats to back it up.
And Georgia is not going to wake up on Saturday and all of a sudden have a running game that's worth a darn either.
And they might, but I don't think they're going to put it all together. So if they have a running game, I don't think the passing game is going to. I just don't see them. And if they do, if that does happen, Tennessee got off the bus scared because they were facing the Power G or whatever they call it. That's the only way I see that happening, and that could happen. That's that BVS syndrome that we talk about. But I just if both these teams are healthy, 100% playing ball the way they should, I don't see Georgia being able to just correct everything just like that. I mean, because obviously they've had these issues 6 weeks, 7 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, I agree. And, the biggest X factor in the game is the one that neither one of us have mentioned yet. This game is on the road and it's at night. And that does not normally bode well for Tennessee.
We already lost ours, though. So scratch that.
Fair. But we also hadn't played a huge opponent like this so far at night on the road. Because until this
year, at the time, we thought that was Oklahoma, right? And that's not been the case. Now, some people can say we had a hand in that. If Oklahoma beats Tennessee, then what are the But I don't like to play that game. At the end of the day, they are probably not a bowling team at the end of the year after they just lost to Missouri in the most dramatic way possible. But overall, it's just you're absolutely right. This is the toughest opponent that Tennessee is going to be playing on the road probably all year, all season. So. Even if we make the postseason.
Yeah, I think you're right. But, what I was also getting at there was, until this year, the big game on the schedule has always been the 2:30 game or the 3:30 game on CBS. Now that you have the ABC contract, the big game is at night. So you're going to start seeing a lot more of these big games on the road at night. And this is without a doubt Tennessee's hardest game that they have had to face or play in probably in the last 3 years, especially with how much is on it. We hadn't even mentioned that College Gameday is going to be there on Saturday. That's already been confirmed. So, I mean, the stakes are even higher now. It's going to be the best game on television, the most highly anticipated game on television. And this could be a college football playoff elimination game. It is for sure a SEC championship game or a championship elimination game.
So I'm just looking back at the previous 5 opponents for both Tennessee and Georgia. And to give you guys that are listening just an idea of what that looks like, that's basically for Tennessee, going back looking at Arkansas, then Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Obviously, we lost to Arkansas, but Florida was an overtime game. Alabama was a touchdown win. I got to go throw the meat in the oven here in a second. But no, so Florida overtime win. Alabama was a touchdown win. Kentucky a 10-point win. Mississippi State obviously a couple touchdown win, a little bit more than. But I look at Georgia's. Auburn 31-13. They handled business. Mississippi State, a team we just played, right? That was a 10-point game, 41-31. I'm not saying that was a scare because I think they were up by 2 touchdowns the entire game, but still gave up a lot of points to a Mississippi State team. Texas, a 15-point game, which I think they dominated that for most of the game, honestly. Carson Beck still had his woes, though. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions in that game and no touchdowns. Florida, 34-20, looks okay, right? But you got to remember, it was 20-20 in the fourth quarter with Florida's third-string quarterback.
That is a game that if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, I absolutely think that Florida wins the game.
And we can say that, but, like, seriously, all I'm trying to say here is both teams have not been able to, like, put away teams. They've been playing down to the competition, playing up the competition. They've not been able to assert themselves. And I'm saying this for both Georgia and Tennessee. This freaking matchup is so fascinating because how is it going to work? Is it going to be a blowout? I don't see how that could happen. But if it did, I would have to think the winner of this game. I think the winner of this game could. I don't know how that would work out though with Georgia losing too, but the winner of this game could win the SEC championship game. That's how I feel. I know Bama fans are crazy right now because they think, oh, Jalen Mero finally ran the ball and look what happened. Oh, dude, I called that from a mile away. Like, too many people trust Brian Kelly, by the way. That's insane. I love it. It's so easy money when they do it. But either way, like, I seriously think the winner of this game has a great chance of taking home the SEC title this year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
If Georgia can find a way in with 2 losses.
Yeah, and I mean there would be some things that have to happen to do that because right now, Tennessee has got 1 loss in the SEC. Texas has 1 loss in the SEC. Texas A&M has 1 loss in the SEC. Everybody else has 2. So, I mean, there's a way that Georgia could do it, but obviously they have to win this game.
You want a fun fact?
Yes. What's that?
Guess who is at the top of the SEC standings going into week 12? Week 11.
Well, it's either Tennessee or Texas.
It's the right orange. It's the Tennessee Volunteers because we played 6 conference games. We're at 5-1. So that puts us above Texas or A&M. No, Texas because they are at like 4-1 or something like that. I'd have to look it up, but
A&M is at 5-1, but they have 2 losses overall.
Yes.
So yeah,
that's it. So Tennessee right now at the top of the SEC in November. That's all you can ask for. Yeah. It's all you can ask for. And honestly, it's crazy because if we had beaten Arkansas, let's just play that game.
Oh my word!
I'm glad we didn't.
I mean,
I'm glad we didn't.
Now, looking back at it, I'm glad that we didn't too. I completely agree.
Because people are going to clip this, and that's fine. I'm glad we didn't because if we had beaten Arkansas, all of us here would be like, oh, we could lose Georgia. We could lose Georgia. And we could still literally do whatever we needed to do as long as we beat Vanderbilt, which that is going to be a game at the end of the year. But we would be sitting here undefeated going into Georgia. And especially with everything else that's happened in the nation, we would be the number 1 team. We could lose to Georgia, fall to like number 5, which is probably where you want to be going in the playoff anyways, because that gets you the home field advantage come week 1 of the playoffs, and you're playing the number 12 team. I'm telling you, I'm glad we beat or lost to Arkansas because to me, it puts a lot more meaning into this game. As a Tennessee fan, of course, we want to win, but hear me out. You got to look at it. Like nobody or there would be a lot more fans that wouldn't be plugged into this game because of the fact of, well, we might want to be at number 5 anyways, right? Or no? Am I just completely wrong?
No, I agree with you. But also, if we don't lose to Arkansas, I think we drop a game to either Florida or Alabama.
Sure.
We weren't going to lose to Kentucky. But I think regardless, we were going to drop a game somewhere. And I am kind of glad that it was Arkansas because I would much rather lose a game on the road than a game at home.
Oh, yeah. Well, Heupel in the last 3 years.
He's lost one.
How many losses? There you go.
He's lost one game at home, and that was Georgia in 22. Or no, last year, sorry.
Yep. Josh Heupel's protected home field, even if it's been ugly at times. But that's why I'm saying that being number 5 in the rankings, the CFP rankings, which this is confusing, and I get that, but you could be number 3 in the CFP rankings, but be slotted in the 5th position come bracket time. And we'll explain all that later when it's time, close to that time. But basically, obviously, the top 4 seeds are your conference champions. So, if you're second place in the SEC, probably going to be in that number 5 spot. You play the worst team getting in at home. Give me all of that. Right now we're probably talking BYU. Indiana, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But give me all of that. I hope it's not an SEC opponent week 1. I want to see SEC play everybody else. Same for Big Ten. I don't want to see any in-conference matchups because at that point it's just week 2 of conference championships. And I don't want to see that. I want to see them, even if they have to kind of, move a number 7 to a number 9 or whatever they got to do to make it happen to avoid some of these matchups. But I'm really fascinated about how it's gonna work out. But
it's going to be a crazy finish to this season, not just in the SEC, but all the way around. Because we hadn't even talked about it, but Miami goes down yesterday, which I called that, by the way. I get 5 bonus points for that right there. Which you called the Ole Miss game over Georgia, and I got to give you complete and total credit. You said that at the beginning of the season.
I did.
And you said that the reason you did that is you thought Georgia would win the game at the time at the beginning of the season, but you wanted to be the one person to say, hey, I picked that. So credit to you for that one right there.
I'm cooked. So I cooked on that one, and I'm still cooking on the Florida game. I'm not. I chose that in the preseason, and nobody in the world knew where I was coming from on that. I didn't even know where I was coming from, but by God, it looks like it could happen, and I cannot wait. Cannot wait to make some clips with both of those picks and return. I got a lot of. It's funny how we get a lot more comments on those videos, and yeah, and then they just go quiet, kind of like it's me and YouTube. No, I'm joking, man. We appreciate it. All love here, man. Thank y'all so much for being tuned in. You got anything left on this preview for Georgia? Obviously it's a big game, probably the biggest game under. I'm saying it's the biggest game under Heupel's era. You win this game, you're in the SEC championship. Maybe even if you lose to Vanderbilt because of all the turnage that has happened, but you win this game. It's driver's seat. It is absolute driver's seat. You haven't beaten Georgia since you've been here. This is the last big game. Not last, but this is the last big rival for Heupel, right? You got to get over this hump. Is this the time to do it? Georgia looks vulnerable. Is this not where we pounce?
This is absolutely the time to do it. Josh Heupel has beaten the other rivals. You've beaten Alabama twice. You've beaten Florida twice. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, you haven't lost to them yet. Hopefully you don't. Obviously, there are going to be years where something like that will happen. But you haven't lost to them yet. Georgia's the one. Georgia's the one you have not lost or that you have not beaten yet. This is the year to do it. You said it. This is the biggest game in Heupel's tenure because – we can sit here and say 2022, when we went down to Athens, we're undefeated, they're undefeated, but we knew that Tennessee was not to Georgia's level yet. We just knew that it wasn't quite there. This is the time, though.
But credit to Georgia in that season, too. They were also just a really good freaking team. We were a good team. They were loaded. This is a year where it feels a little different because I don't feel like people think of Georgia like that right now. I don't even think Georgia views themselves like that right now. Listen to Kirby at the beginning of the year talk about how I think it was a Texas matchup, and he was like, Texas is like a better, like a version of like a better us is what I can't remember how he phrased it, but it's almost like even Kirby knows that they're not the best Georgia team that he's had. So, it's one of those things where it's kind of working twofold. This is Tennessee's best defense they've ever had.
Yeah.
In my recent memory, obviously they've had better defenses, but You're taking that along with the offense that's at least capable of scoring. Now, maybe they haven't hit on all cylinders all year, and we understand that, but they're at least capable. They're not a liability like Iowa, right? Where, they're going to score, but is it 20 points? Is it 30? We don't know yet. At the end of the day, we know our defense is probably going to lock them down to below 20 points. I would be shocked with Georgia's woes if they score 20 on Tennessee. I don't think they're scoring 30. I think 30 wins this game hands down. But overall, it's a massive matchup. But I think this all lies on the offenses. I think you're going to get what you're going to get from the defenses here. What do we see? Trick plays? Do we see fake punts? Like, what do we see? Because I think you're going to get Georgia's full playbook. I mean, this is backs against the wall for Georgia, and I want to see if they kind of act like that.
And then one more quick thing I just remember. I've been meaning to bring this up the whole time and just forgot about it. Whether you're Kirby Smart or whether you're Josh Heupel, do not fall into the trap that teams fall into against Tennessee all the time, which is feel like you have to go for it on fourth down. Do not fall into that trap. Trust your defense to get a stop whenever you have to punt the ball away or if you need to kick a field goal, whatever. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, I've got to go for it on fourth down. Because how many times have we seen Mark Stoops in Kentucky fall for that? Billy Napier at Florida fall for that. We saw Mississippi State a couple of times yesterday that did.
Credit to them.
Now, yes, I was going to say credit to them. They did pick it up. But we have seen coaches that time after time after time have felt like they have to go for it on fourth down against Tennessee because they don't feel like that they can stop Tennessee whenever they're on defense, or they don't feel like they can get a score later to beat Tennessee. So both of these coaches are a huge key. Don't fall into that trap.
But I think also stay aggressive. If it's 4th and 2 or shorter, do it. Why not? Because you have the defense that you can trust them. If it's at their 45, right? Don't do it in your own territory.
I was going to say, I think it depends on where you are on the field and what the situation is.
But if it's the opening drive of the game and you get to a 4th and 1 on like their 38, so a little long for a field goal, but really short for a punt, and it's 4th and 2, go for it. But it better be a good freaking play call. I mean, it better not be we're in shotgun and we're gonna just see what we do. It better be a play call where we either roll Nico out to where he's got options, or you better
give the ball to Dylan Sampson.
That's what I'm saying. Put it in 12 personnel and give the ball to Dylan Sampson. Even if they get the stuff out.
Better yet, don't put it in 12 personnel. Give us the power eye with Jackson Moy and Miles Kissel in the backfield, or no, Holden States.
That's I think 13 personnel. I'm fine with that too. But I'm just saying. Stay aggressive, obviously play the analytics, but if it's 4th and 6, but you just ain't been moving the ball today and you know that they're going to score, don't do that. I think that's the trap you're kind of talking about. And that's what we do need to avoid. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. I don't think that's going to be a problem here because it's not like both of these teams are scoring 50 points a game. So, I think this is going to be an absolute, field position battle, keep them pinned inside the 10 and hopefully get a field goal here or there and then hit on a big play. Get up by 2 scores, and just kind of keep them at arm's length. That's going to be the game plan, I think, for both of these teams. I'm just hoping that our boys stay on top of protect the freaking ball, right? Yeah. Nico's not been throwing interceptions, but now we're fumbling. Protect it. Georgia, all right? Carson Beck's got to stop throwing interceptions, and his offensive line is going to have to protect him because Tennessee's defensive line is a monster, all right? And they're going to be coming, and they're going to do whatever they got to do to quieten that crowd. So,
yeah. Before we get into our next one, Jade on Facebook asked, any update on Nico? All we can speculate is it's not serious just because of Josh Heupel's reaction to being asked the question of Nico's status. So we don't really know what's going on with Nico, but we don't think that it's serious. We are banking on him playing in that game on Saturday.
I'm not going to bank on him playing, not yet, but I don't think it's as serious as we've been seeing rumors on Facebook from various people who think they know everything. Josh Heupel was asked about Nico in the post-game presser, and the reporter straight up said, is he out for the season? I mean, went straight for it. And Josh Heupel just laughed it off. He's like, why? He's like, you went straight for it, didn't you? And that's how he handled the question. And then said, no, it was a precautionary thing. We anticipate have him ready to go for Georgia. The fact that he laughed it off and answered the question, to me, makes me think Nico's fine. Josh Heupel absolutely could have been like, hey, we still got to evaluate him. We'll know a little bit as we get closer to the weekend, whatever. He could have handled that question so many different ways that he's already handled questions like in the past. And to me, I think Nico is going to be okay. I don't know if it's a concussion. We don't know that. But I do think that Heupel firmly feels like that we held Mississippi State at Arms Bay and there was no need to put Nico at risk throwing him back in the game. So that's all we know. We have no idea what it is. I'm just giving y'all what my read is on Josh Heupel's reaction to being asked that question. So elaborate. Who knows it all, Skylar? I think you know exactly who it is. It's fine. There's several. I'm like, this ain't just one person. There's been several people, and I even shared a post on it because it was funny. And in fact, I kind of want to, if I can pull it up real quick. Hold up 1 second. Stay with me. This is bad for podcast. I got it here though at the very top, at the very tippity top. Here we go. I got it. Y'all ready for this? Y'all listen because this is an earful. So this was a post by Benjamin Anderson on Vol for Life Uncensored page. Said, I heard Nico got hit in the ribs. A piece of rib meat broke off and flew around his body, hitting him in the head when it ejected through his collarbone, causing a brain bleed. And now he thinks that he is Aladdin. But according to all my sources, should be good to go in the Georgia game in the year 2130. Did I do sports news right? Question mark. Yes, because every fan out there feels like they know exactly what happened when in reality they have no idea what is going on. Look, the facts are Nico didn't come back in the second half. He didn't even come back on the field in the second half. I was looking for him. I think he stayed in the locker room the entire time. Josh Heupel said what he said in the post game, and that's all we got. That's all we got. I mean, it could be anything, but I thought that was super funny because, man, it hit about every single rumor out there that he had a brain bleed, that he broke his collarbone, that, this, that, concussion. It was hilarious. I wanted to read that to you guys. I hope y'all got a good sense of humor out of that. But I do hope that Nico's okay after reading that because I would hate if he did have a brain bleed. And I just read that thinking it was a joke. So, final thoughts on Tennessee, Georgia. We're going to do the pick here in the next segment, but final thoughts on it.
Look, let's just get to Saturday already, man. I'm tired of the suspense.
Right on. I agree. Well, let's get on to this segment 3 and let's make our picks.
Yep. Segment 3 sponsor is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. And Skylar, one thing now I forgot to bring up at the beginning. So guys, we have talked about it after the last week. Last week we did do a
What are you bringing up real quick?
I was bringing up the change of our time on the lives.
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to take 5 seconds and preheat the oven. I'll be right back.
Yep, that'll work, man. So Skylar and I talked about it last week after we got done with our live. We have, since we started, tried going live around 2 Eastern time. This year we moved it to 3 Eastern just to give us a little bit more time with families right after lunch. We decided after last week, because we had a lot better numbers with the later show, that we will now be moving our live stream to 6 o'clock Eastern time on Sundays. So that's going to be the new time. Obviously, there will be some weeks where we have to change it, but 6 o'clock Eastern time will be the new time that we'll be going live on Sundays. So be sure to put that on your calendars on Sundays. So let's get into some games. First game on Saturday, it is Texas versus Arkansas. This is at 12 Eastern on ABC. And how about this rivalry game coming back now with Texas moving to the SEC? This used to be a huge rivalry game.
It's a big, and I just don't know if Arkansas's got the horses or the hogs to hang. Texas looked really good last week against Florida in a game where I was an idiot and kind of thought the Florida could possibly make it interesting. Texas said, nah, but now Florida did make a lot of mistakes too. But at the end of the day, Texas did exactly what they needed to do. And that's beat somebody convincingly to kind of show everybody like, hey, we still mean business. No, I think Texas.
Are they standing on business?
Yeah, dude. The sign language is standing on business. No, I think Texas needs to do exactly what they did last week. You know, Arkansas and Florida, I view very similar games that if you overlook them, they can absolutely bite you. But overall, just ain't got the talent. And if they beat them, you know, if they add or if they make mistakes like they've been making, they obviously make it harder on themselves. Texas, I think, wins this game. And they probably win it pretty handedly, but it may be close in the first half. But give me Texas overall. I don't think this is a really hard one to get started with, but you know, as always, it's November. Don't sleep on a team, please. Like, don't make it harder on yourselves to get in the playoff, Texas. Do your thing, handle business. Arkansas is going to have a lot of hate because obviously it's Arkansas, it's Texas, but do your thing, handle business, move on. And everybody in the comment section. We got Justin. He's a big Corns fan, so that's no surprise. We got Jade. We got Karen. What say you, Michael? Are you gonna try to get one here? Or are you gonna
look? This game is one that Texas has to win because they had a very easy schedule this year compared to a lot of other teams.
Sure.
And if they lose this game, I don't think a 2-loss Texas
where to win at? Yeah, exactly.
Gets into the playoffs. So I think that Texas will win this game. 16.5 is a spread right now. I think that number's about right. I think it's 14-17. Texas win this game. So give me Texas.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay.
A Georgia 3-loss team gets in over a Texas 2-loss team if they were to drop this game.
I disagree. I don't think that a 3-loss team would get in over any 2-loss team, but if you do just go by resumes and not by overall record, yes, I agree.
You can't just go by overall record, or else there would be undefeateds getting in over. I mean, that would be like Florida State getting in last year. Over. I'm just saying, Texas, how many wins they have? If they were to drop this game what wins do they have that they can really lean on that Georgia doesn't? I mean, because right now Georgia can say, hey, we beat y'all head-to-head. And we just lost to 3 of the teams that are also going to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, that's just an unpopular opinion. Texas takes care of business. That doesn't even come, especially if Georgia takes care of business, that doesn't even come into question. I'm just saying, if you're looking at these two teams, if it came down to they had to pick Texas, Georgia, 3-loss, 2-loss, I don't think it's as clear as 2-loss, 3-loss. I think they would have to look into it a little bit harder than that.
Yeah,
Justin, I know you're going to disagree. That's not a problem. You're a Texas fan, but whatever.
If Texas was to lose this game, I would entertain that argument. I think it depends on
exactly what I said, dog. Yeah. If Texas were to lose this game and Georgia were to lose to Tennessee, you got to look at it. Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, all 3 are going to be in the top 12 come Tuesday night. Texas would have lost to Arkansas and Georgia, which is the head-to-head. What other wins? Oklahoma.
I think
Texas, Justin, help me out. Who is Texas beat? Florida? I mean, that's not. I
think it all falls on the Texas A&M game at the end of the year.
That is going to be a big one. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think if Texas is a 2-loss team that loses to Arkansas, but they beat A&M, I think that's what puts them ahead of Georgia at that point.
Justin, I hear you on that point. He said, how could they leave us out in that scenario and put Miami in? I hear you out in that point, but that's cross-conference. That I hear you because it's about getting the 12 best teams in. They're not going to put 6 SEC teams in and not a single ACC team. So, I mean, that's a little irrelevant because I'm trying to say, like, if they're picking between SEC teams trying to get in, because they're going to cap it at 4 or 5. There's not going to be 6 SEC teams in. But that was my hypothetical, unpopular opinion. I'm very well of that because nobody's agreed with it. But I seriously think if you look at it, I think Georgia, if they had a 3rd loss to Tennessee, all 3 of their losses would be teams in the playoff, and they beat Texas head-to-head. I think you put Georgia in over Texas if it came to that. But Texas is going to win. It's not going to matter.
Yep. So next game on the slate, it is UL Monroe against Auburn. This is at 12:45 Eastern on SEC Network. What say you?
Auburn, but I kind of want to pick UL Monroe. Give me Auburn, though. They're so bad, dude. I thought Mississippi State was the worst team in the SEC. I think it's Auburn, but give me Auburn.
Give me UL.
Are you picking it?
Look.
You're picking it. Let's go.
Look, I am not an Auburn hater, but
it kind of sounds like it right now.
I mean, matter of fact, my sister and my brother-in-law are huge Auburn fans. So I mean, I cheer for Auburn whenever I am not cheering, or whenever Tennessee and Auburn play. I'm cheering for Auburn whenever they're not playing Tennessee.
Sure.
It is what I meant to say. Yeah. But look, Auburn has not played well this year.
No.
They've got a lot of talent on that team,
but
they don't have a quarterback. Look, they got some good wide receivers. They have got a stud in Jarquez Hunter. They've got a very good defense, but something is just not clicking there. They cannot play well at all.
At what point do we look at exactly what I said was going to happen and the fact that they don't have a coach?
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze went to Auburn to face one guy every year. And now that guy retired. Hugh Freeze has, in my opinion, zero motivation to coach now. I mean, Hugh Freeze was a one game, which was why he was the perfect guy for Auburn. Hear me out here. He was a one game season kind of guy. And that was to face Nick Saban to beat him. Nick Saban's gone. Hugh Freeze doesn't know what to do. And I mean, he's not. Yeah, whatever. I hear you. It's just, it's crazy because I could see this happening from a mile away. Like it wouldn't even.
And look, the same thing happened last year. You faced New Mexico State last year around the same time of year.
Exactly.
At home, and you dropped that one. This is a game that Auburn would absolutely look over. So I'm going to take UL Monroe to win this game.
I like it. Another game closer to some golf, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Your brother-in-law will be at this game. What? Tickets are $9. Dude, when we play UTEP, our last home game, I bet you there still won't be a ticket less than $100. UTEP. This is kind of wild.
Sold out.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is it's crazy to think you can get into an SEC stadium for $9. Now, after Ticketmaster hits you with them fees, it's probably going to be like 120 plus some change. But like, other than that, I'm joking. That was a joke towards Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
But whatever. What's the next one on the list?
All right, next one on the slate, it is Murray State going up against Kentucky. Kentucky fans, if you are watching, well, Kentucky fan, I'm not sure how many of them there are out there. If you do want to watch this game, it is on SEC Network Plus.
I'd like to speak to you father to son here. It's going to be on SEC Network Plus. It's going to be one of them weeks, huh? A bunch of bye weeks for these teams. No, give me Kentucky pretty easily.
Give me Kentucky, but not easily. I don't know what the spread is in this game. It's not posted yet. I don't trust Kentucky to cover a spread, but I think
my man woke up. It chose violence, bro.
I sure did.
All right. No, I like it.
No, Kentucky wins this one, but whatever the spread is, they don't cover. So
sure. Everybody's agreeing as they should with Kentucky on this one. Karen, Jade, and Justin, thank y'all so much for picking along with us. What's the next one on the docket?
The next one, it is another JV game this week as Mercer coming to Tuscaloosa to play against Alabama. Alabama fans, this one is also on streaming services. You won't be able to watch this on cable or anything like that. This is at 2 Eastern on SEC Network Plus. Give me the Tide. And they cover. I don't know what the spread is, but Alabama covers in this one.
I'm convinced, like, you could have 10 offensive linemen and then Jalen Milroe in the backfield, and they could still beat this team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yep. Oh, Jade. Mercer. Yeah, fire DeBoer. Like that's not even like if that happens, there's no discussion. Like he doesn't even get a bus ride back. Like he has to walk from the stadium.
It's one thing for Nick Saban to lose to UL Monroe because at least they're a Division I team. But if you lose to Mercer, who is a FCS team, that'd be something different. But let's get back into some SEC games now. As rivalry game, LSU traveling to Gainesville to play against Florida. This is at 3:30 Eastern on ABC.
I respect it, Jade. She said, "I will never pick Alabama, ever."
Fair enough.
I like it. This is actually an intriguing matchup. I really wish I knew who was playing quarterback for the Florida Gators.
Exactly. That is what it all hinges on for me. If DJ Lagway is playing, I think Florida's got a great chance. If their third string quarterback, who I don't even know what his name is playing, I think LSU.
I'm still picking Florida. Give me Florida.
Okay. So I was actually going to take Florida, but you know what? I'll
give it to you. I'll give it to you. Rock, paper, scissors for it?
Hey, I'll take LSU on it.
So you're scared to do rock, paper, scissors live on stream? That's fine.
Yeah.
If you are. All right. Winner gets who? We got to pick this.
Winner gets Florida.
All right. And 2 out of 3 or like one time?
We'll do one time.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right.
You got it. I got LSU.
Hey, you're going to look great on this one if Lagway doesn't play because I think that LSU wins by 2 scores or more. If
I don't trust Brian Kelly, bro. I hate Brian Kelly.
That's fair.
All right. No,
that's absolutely fair. Fine. But yeah, I think that
all right. So you got Florida, I got LSU.
Yeah. So breaking down this game just a little bit. So Florida, I don't think they're as bad of a team as what we originally thought this year. And I think that they still got a shot to go to be bowl eligible. They will beat Florida State at the end of the year because Florida State is terrible.
Man, somebody called that like several months ago.
I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, I don't. The name's slipping. It's they are right on the tip of the tongue.
Yeah.
No, Florida is a great. I'm not gonna say great. They are a really competitive team. The problem is they face a schedule harder than Georgia's, which is saying something. And at this point, now you're seeing it starting to take a toll, not just on the on the players, but the team, the coaching staff. Your injury bug's starting to hit, obviously, and you just it's hard to stay healthy when you're playing juggernaut after juggernaut of a team. But they fought very competitive with all of these teams. I mean, like I said, with a third string quarterback taking Georgia tie ball game in the fourth quarter, you took Tennessee to overtime. To me, that speaks more than what LSU's done this year. Just don't. I mean, LSU's big win, right, was A&M? Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. A&M beat LSU.
Thank you.
Yeah, their big win was
Ole Miss is a good win. It's looking a lot better now, but give me Florida. No, you got Florida. I got LSU. God dang it. All right, fine. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, so next game on the slate, it is the Mayor's Cup Trophy, Missouri against South Carolina. This is at 4:15 Eastern on SEC Network.
Yeah, this is South Carolina. It's not even close. I think this is going to be a lot like the A&M Missouri game where they just absolutely trounced Missouri. This could absolutely be another trouncing. I could see South Carolina beat Missouri so bad. Like Missouri, by the way, needed a 30 seconds to go in the game, scoop and score to beat Oklahoma. They're just not good. They can't score. Blessed to the heavens. I think South Carolina could win this by 3 touchdowns. I'm not even joking.
This is one that I want to pick different than you, but I can't because they're not good this year.
No, Missouri is bowl eligible, and that's all they cared about. So they're not going to play worth a darn for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I don't know how bad Brady Cook is injured, but he's not playing in this game.
I got one better for you. Did you hear Drinkwitz in the post game after this game?
I did not.
He said, we did what we needed to do to stay in the playoff hunt. Yeah, I said it. Playoffs.
Oh, that's great.
What? Bro, no shot. Like, I'm sorry. No shot. You could win out. and still not make the playoffs. Like, you're terrible. Not even close. So, yeah, give me South Carolina.
Yeah,
I think everybody agrees. I think everybody agrees with this.
I'm going to take South Carolina. I mean, they just got a better overall team, and that defensive line is great.
When is this game forfeit? I'll watch the game just to watch Drinkwitz lose. That'd be great. Man, what a downfall. Everybody's talking about the Florida State downfall. Missouri's downfall. And they've only got 2 losses, but my goodness. I mean, you talked to a Missouri fan at the beginning of the year, and they thought they were going undefeated. Like, wholeheartedly believed it. When you look at their schedule, they probably should have thought that. But, yeah, just not a good team. And obviously injury bugs hurt them too, but I just don't like their coach either. A lot like Brian Kelly.
Missouri is the worst 7-2 team in the nation.
100%. Not even close.
Yeah. Next game, it is the biggest one, not just for us, but for the entire college football world this weekend. It is Tennessee. It is Georgia. 7:30 Eastern on ABC in Athens, Georgia.
$10.5 spread, which I don't really understand that, but I do understand it at the same time.
It has dropped to 9.5 now, so it has dropped a full point.
Oh, dang. Okay, so yesterday I said there's no shot we're winning this game because Kirby doesn't lose 2 in a row. But I got to digging about how Georgia's playing football. I did a little bit of research, not a lot. Don't like to do research. I like to go off my gut. And my gut's telling me, even though this comes off as a homerish pick, my gut tells me that our defense is better than their defense and our offense is better than their offense. So, in turn, shouldn't we win the game? Now, obviously, we're going into a very hostile Athens environment. But right now, even as bad as we feel like we're playing on offense, our offense is absolutely better than Georgia's offense. Our defense is leaps and bounds playing better than Georgia's defense. I'm going to take the Vols because I kind of like the whole Ole Miss beating Georgia. Like, I want to be the guy that picks that. But if Georgia wins this is just a classic BBS game. Like, this is yep, Tennessee, once again, going into a game scared, didn't want to come off the bus, especially if it's uncompetitive. But Tennessee on paper here should be able to give Georgia every bit of run for their money, even in Athens, that they should want. I mean, I do like the way our Vols are playing. If we get Nico back, I'm just that more confident. But really, I'm picking this based off defenses. Going into 22, we did not have a defense worth anything. And, kind of like that whole 4th down situation you brought up in the preview. Yeah, we were in that situation a lot because we knew that's the only way we could win is if we scored 45 points. This game, I seriously think we could score 24 points and win this ball game. And for that reason, just puts a whole nother different feel on this game. I'm taking the boys here on a pretty big underdog, I guess, for a big game.
Look, Tennessee, you mentioned it. It's not the same team that went into Athens 2 years ago. That was a great Tennessee team that, at least offensively, that if we had any sort of defense, could have and should have beat Georgia. Obviously, it didn't happen. Georgia had a fantastic team this year. This is not the same Georgia team, but this is Athens. This is at night. And they're coming off of an embarrassing loss to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Carson Beck is just going to turn into a world beater quarterback because he is what he is at this point.
Just rip the Band-Aid. Stop leading us on. Just do it.
Give me the Vols. I am not.
Oh, you homer. No, you're a homer. That's a homer pick. No, that's a homer pick.
I'm not picking Georgia in this game because, look, Tennessee is going to win this one. They're going to make it to the SEC title game, and they're going to make the playoffs as an 11-1 team, 12-1 after they win the SEC title this year.
No, I'm going to break your heart. See, Tennessee's going to win this game and then lose to Vanderbilt to not go to Atlanta. And, yeah, that's –
Listen, don't you put that evil on us. Don't you dare put that evil on us. Is me sitting in Skylar's chair right now?
Hey, I'm just telling you, that is the most Tennessee thing that could happen to us. But anyways, I like it. So we're both picking Tennessee.
Quit with that battered ball syndrome, man.
There is not a single person in the comments chose Georgia. Is that seriously because they're Tennessee fans, or is that seriously because they kind of see what we're seeing in Georgia? It makes them look vulnerable.
No, seriously, taking off the orange glasses, you said it. On paper, Tennessee should win this game because they have a better defense. Georgia probably has a slightly better offense, but when you really do the digging there, Tennessee overall has a much better offense because we can actually run the ball. And Nico is able – I mean, when you look at it on paper, yes, Carson Beck has thrown 100 more passes and he's got 600 more passing yards, I believe. But when you really go in and look at it, Nico is a more efficient quarterback than him. And he is a better quarterback than Carson Beck is. Tennessee should win this game, even with it being on the road. They definitely should not be a 9.5-point underdog. I would list this at probably 4.5, 5.5, somewhere around that range. Yeah. Tennessee's still an underdog, but it should not be 9.5.
All right. I know everything I want to know. I want Tennessee and Texas to win out. I need the battle of the UT. I need it because Texas. So Justin, you're starting to see that Justin, now that he realizes that it's going to happen or could happen, he's starting to stop being as much of a Tennessee fan and starting to really push that Longhorn fandom out into the show. And I understand it, but I can promise you, if Tennessee Texas met in the SEC championship, I would buy all that. I would buy all that. Give me all of it. Give me battle of the oranges again. Like that's kind of a common theme for Tennessee in the postseason.
Well, I mean,
but how's that worked out?
Battle of the orange versus the poop brown. I mean,
oh sure, yeah, absolutely, the real orange. No, and whatever. No, that's fine. That's what I want to happen.
The real UT. So
yeah, absolutely. But that would give you a matchup in the SEC championship that wouldn't be a rematch. I know a lot of people have a hard time watching two teams play 3 times in a season, which could absolutely happen, especially now the playoffs expanded to 12 teams. You could see Alabama, Georgia 3 times because they play in the regular season. They could play in the championship, and then they play in the playoffs. Like, that's the stuff that people don't want to see. Texas, Tennessee, if they were to win out and make that game, that would be kind of cool because those are 2 teams that didn't meet in the regular season. It'd be really cool to see that type of game play out. So, yeah. All right. Is that the last game? Or yeah, this is the last game. All right.
Last game here. This won't take very long. It is New Mexico State traveling to College Station. Give me Texas A&M. As many as they choose. This is not Diego Pavia run New Mexico State.
You sure about that? No, I'm not. Give me A&M as well.
All right. So that takes care of the picks. Now, one more thing we got to do before we bring on Jake is upset pick of the week time. And Skylar went 5-1 last week. I went 2-4. But
rough week.
Somebody got his upset pick game right, which
it was 3 points, dog.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it was not.
I thought
Georgia Tech was 11.5-point dog going in that game.
Oh, okay, my fault. That's on me. Florida covered.
Hey, I was gonna say you covered once again. I think you have covered in every single game this season.
Well, I mean, I got the first 3 upsets right, and then I've just covered ever since then. So
the first 2 because we didn't pick that Florida State game.
I'm sorry, but I told you before the game started, and that was between us. Just like this show is between us, I'm counting it. I don't care that I don't get the points. I understand that because it went on the show, but I absolutely caught 3 upsets. Absolutely caught it. All right, here's what I'm gonna go with for my upset of the week, and I need to pull back up the lines because you said something earlier, and I don't like that you said that because I had my mind made up on what game I was choosing, and if what you said happened, it makes me want to really change my. Oh, somebody just did. Hang on, hold up.
You were gonna pick Tennessee to beat Georgia when it was at 10.5.
Yes, Cody Armstrong has liked the show. Thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate you. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to do because they were a 10.5-point dog. And you're telling me that they moved? You're telling me they're no longer?
Let me double check just to make
sure. I'm double checking. This is big stuff here. Hang on. Saturday 2:30, Saturday 3, Saturday 4, 5. Oh, we're close.
Where did that game go?
What game?
All right, Tennessee, Georgia, 9.5.
You've got to be kidding me.
No.
This is some bullcrap. This is okay. Well, then I'll tell you what. For the first time ever, no. Nope, don't like it. Don't like it because that contradicts my pick. It is 9.5. That is so garbage. That is so garbage.
I'll go ahead with mine while you're looking because I don't think
please.
I don't think you're going to take this one. I should take UL Monroe over Auburn because obviously I picked that one in the pick segment. But I'm going to go with Utah over Colorado to ruin Colorado's chance at a playoff berth. Colorado does have 2 losses on the year, but could absolutely win the Big 12. And they could still win the Big 12 and possibly make it into the college football playoffs. But in case they don't win it, I'm pulling for Utah this week to upset Colorado. That is a 10.5-point spread and knock Colorado out of playoff contention.
That's such a good one. Dude, there's so many good games at 9.5. Like, I was thinking Pittsburgh over Clemson, 9.5. That's so garbage. I don't want to do that. It's a good pick. It's a great pick. I've
got one.
I'm gonna
might intrigue you.
No. I'm gonna ask you a question, man to man here.
Okay.
We know it's at 9.5, but if I double down and take the boys, you've seen it over 10.
Take it.
Would you give me the 5 points if it were to happen?
Take it.
Yeah. Give me the boys. I'm doubling down. So the reason why I'm doubling down is because now I feel like we're going to cover at least. At least the boys are going to be within 9. But I feel pretty good about this game. For the first time ever, I'm taking a game that's legitimately right now not a 10-point spread, and that kills me. But we both know it was over 10. And I guess a lot of people feel the same way we do. I think a lot of people think Tennessee is going to make this game competitive. And I think a lot of that has to do with the defense. So I'm taking the boys. I'm doubling down on it. It's my upset pick of the week. How is it not?
You want to know one that also intrigues me? And this one is in the ACC.
Yes, and it's the one over SMU, right? No.
Yep. Boston College over SMU, 6.5.
Yes, I thought about that one as well. Yes, sir. I thought about that one as well. And there's another one that was a really good one, and I skipped over it. Wake over North Carolina. 10.5 point. But it's fine.
Hey, you know what? Stanford is.
I don't want to confuse people.
Stanford, sneaky good game against Louisville.
That's right. Dude, chat box kind of popping. Fans want Jake. It's about that time. Justin said he's only here for Jake. He's tired of listening to us. Let's see. Robbie, where's Jake? Everybody knows, dude. That guy's won me over 40K this season. Oh my God. There's no shot. And that's exactly where Justin said need proof. Need proof on that statement. Florida over LSU plus 170 with DJ back. Oh yeah, dude. If DJ back, Florida's winning. Absolutely. But anyways, Justin said, yeah, we need Jake. Without further ado, you ready for Rakin with Jake?
Let's get into some Rakin with Jake, man.
All right. We already know Reed Bryant State Farm sponsors Rakin with Jake. Whether you're looking for home, auto, renters, or life insurance, Reed Bryant provides you with personalized coverage options that fit your unique requirements. Their team is always available to answer any questions you may have and assist you in finding the perfect insurance solutions. At Reed Bryant State Farm, they understand the importance of safeguarding what matters most to you so you can focus on enjoying the game without worrying about unexpected events. To reach out to Jake directly, for all you Jake lovers out there that may want to hit him up in the DMs, his email is Jake, Jake, at easttninsurance.com, or give their office a call at 865-457-1505. I challenge you guys, actually. Thank you, Reed Bryant State Farm. I challenge you guys, actually, if you're all watching, to call their main office line number and just ask for Jake.
Just don't do it.
Actually, yeah, we got to do it. No, we got to do it. I need to be able to go to your boss and be like, hey, we generated like 5 calls this week. I just need to, it's up to, it's not up to me on whether or not they actually want insurance or not, but they called you from the show.
Well, I do want to say it's been getting busier and busier by the day. So
there it is.
I appreciate it, and much love and borderline just insanity going on from some close friends of mine. So hope they remember that. But man, like I said, first losing week since we've been starting this thing. What week are we even in? What week are we in?
As far as doing the Rakin with Jake stuff, I believe this is the 8th week, if I'm not mistaken.
We're in week 11 of college football going into week 11, I believe, because it's our 9th game. We've had 2 byes. So week 11, we started 2 weeks late. So I think we're actually going into week 9 here.
Yeah.
I feel good about what I have here.
Okay.
The only reason why I say this is I just threw it to Chat GPT last week. That takes the heart out of it. It really does.
So for those that don't know, also, I wasn't actually like throwing shots at Jake earlier, but I sent him a message earlier, just saying, "Hey, you got your picks ready for me yet? If not, take your time because I was working on getting our graphics ready for the show tonight." And he goes, "Man, we're calling shots already on this, man. I mean, come on." So did you take your time with him this week?
I did. I had a lot of time. I had a channel to really just think it through, and I thought last week felt like a trap. I tried to be a little bit different and going back to what I kind of saw because I really watched my losses. So let's see. Well, that was not right. Indiana Michigan State was not it, but it was a bad one. Here, one second. Let me pull these up.
Let's see. Indiana and Michigan was one of them. You
Duke
picked
money
Indiana
line at NC. I had. Is this right? No. The last week was Duke money line at NC State.
Yeah.
Last week. Yep. So we hit that. That was a great pick, great upset. That just felt right. You're starting to see where you're having teams that are having, and this is the biggest bullet point, is you're having teams that are having a high record of efficiency in quarterback play. So guys who can just get the ball moving with a one-on-one, whether that's a guy being cerebral, and I think that's the problem with Tennessee right now, actually, is I think that their wide receivers can't quite be as locked in as they need to every single play because the constant rotation. I mean, it's hard. So no knock to them. I mean, we're still sitting with 1 loss, but there's a lot of things going. BYU minus 4.5 at Utah. Underestimate the in-state rivalry. They got it done. Should have just been non-greedy.
Look,
BYU should have lost.
This is the first week that I had bet on BYU that I've lost money, and that's because I took the spread instead of the money line. So
mine too.
Did y'all watch the end of that game? Did y'all watch the end of that game?
I didn't see any of it.
There was no holding on that call where there was holding in the defensive back.
Nah, look, I hate to say that referees absolutely help because technically they still gained 50 yards after that. It was 4th down and 12, and they're on their own 8-yard line. And Utah. Okay, I'm sorry. It's twice. No, there's two things that happen. One, they snap the ball and they blow it dead, saying that there was a timeout before the play started when he was clearly about to get sacked. Mm-hmm. That happened. And I'm like, okay, sure. They got the guy on replay calling timeout. Sure, whatever. Then the second play, it happens. He gets sacked. Game over because they would have got the ball back on the half-yard line. They pretty much got a safety out of it. And they throw a defensive holding on the secondary in a play where you can't even see the guy hold at all.
No,
you can't see it.
There was no hold.
You can't. The only camera angle you could see. Yeah, the only poster, the only angle you could see was the freaking press box angle zoomed way out, and all you see is him stimming at the first 5 yards. That's all you see. Holding. Whatever, automatic first down after you just thought you sealed the game with a safety, basically. And then BYU proceeds to go down the length of the field in 1 minute to get a game-winning field goal. Credit to BYU for that. They can't control the calls, but that was a gut-wrenching play by Utah. That was insane.
Here's the deal. I kind of like that they gave Max Gilbert last night the ability to just really go off and do what he needed to do, because you need to have the freedom to feel like you can trust just ticking off points and ticking off where you can, because again, think of it this way, guys. I mean, you've got all of these guys going into a 6, 7, 8 month season, and they're just taking this massive box or right here, and they're just trying to segment it out and fill out what do we get out of personnel, what do we get out of what we need to rep, and it's really fine-tuned. And so at this point in the season, all you can look at is just the big picture. What have you gotten identity-wise out of all teams? And truly, I think that it's hilarious because everybody, if you look at, oh gosh, yeah, another personal thing, but Yeah, I can't even think where I'm going with that.
Thank you, Jimmy. Got him off his fucking. Got him off his thought, bro. That's.
I think that's a great time to get into some picks. So.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and segment it out, or we can go ahead and get 2 or 3. I hope I lose everybody in here money this week.
Robbie from Facebook to YouTube. Thank you, Robbie. Said, "Mom, take my picture."
I love it.
This has got to be. This is great.
It's going way back. It's going way back. That's a decade of history right there.
Yeah, I figured that was an inside joke probably between you and him. So,
man, I was in his wedding. He better settle down. I know his secrets.
Uh-oh.
Can we go? So speak was wait, I'm done with it all. We're getting off of it. Here's what's going on. We have BYU, Kansas, talking about BYU the whole time. I'm sure this line's moved to BYU's favor.
-3.5 now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, the Kansas is 3-6. They're 0 and they've not won a road game. And we just lack the fact that BYU is undefeated. I mean, at home. Can you imagine if in 2022 that Tennessee was undefeated and they played South Carolina at home instead of at South Carolina, regardless of everything that had happened in that game externally, and somewhat internally. But I mean, think about it. There's no way 2.5. Are you kidding me? I'd take 10 alternate spread. I've not even really seen Kansas. I've seen maybe 15 plays of them. But there are teams that are tiered up. I mean, and that's kind of where I resolved back and what I went wrong with. One of the games I got wrong was Florida. I thought they would keep it with Texas. Man, there's just teams that are getting it done. They're scoring. And then again, even if I looked back into it, Texas is number 4 in scoring defense. So you're starting to see where points can come from at the end of the day and where you might not be getting them as much as you think you are. So there's so many skews you can look at and go through.
Can I play devil's advocate for like 2 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Do we truly believe that BYU is a top 10 team in the nation?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Look,
they bought in.
All they have done is won. It's been just like Tennessee.
I don't care. That's like saying Miami's done nothing but win. No, I disagree. I disagree. BYU is not playing.
Miami could beat BYU.
No,
Miami could beat BYU, but it doesn't necessarily mean that BYU is worse than Miami.
No,
Does that make
saying
sense?
Y'all said it was because it was they keep winning and that they're 9-0, and I'm saying, well, that's kind of irrelevant when you're looking at who they're playing.
But it's
do you truly think they could go toe to toe with the top 5, top 6 in the SEC and win?
Top 5?
Yes. I mean, you got Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, A&M. I mean, I could keep going. Like, Ole Miss. I mean, you think they could beat? Y'all are full of crap. I would want to put money on it.
34%. I give them a 34%.
Look,
I'm not. You just don't know the variables. Like you have to see the matchup.
I was going to say I'm not going to sit here and say that they could beat them.
I don't think you've watched a BYU game.
Look, I have. I have watched BYU this year.
I'm calling bullcrap.
Very, very productive. It's the same thing you're seeing that's collapsing in the last part of the season. Look at whatever his name is at Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
these guys are just playing leverage ball. They're all playing leverage ball. They go away from reads. Nico kind of went away from reads, and the man was still on pace for 4 touchdowns. He was going to be 16 for 24. Is that right? Maybe even better.
Yeah.
For 350 yards.
Yeah.
And he's not hurt. He's hurt. He's injured. He is somewhat beat up. At this point in the season, who's not? You think Dylan Sampson isn't just sitting there, hurting and aching at this point? I mean, I'm sorry. That was a statement because, again, we sit here and we have the number 1 defense. You have to go back to what the landscape's showing you. And what's even funnier, I was talking to my girlfriend. She's in the room with me. But I was show her numbers. Yeah, I show her numbers. And so the thing that most guys look at is this football power index, and the levels of games that I feel like Heupel's playing is hilarious because if you say that he's questionable, that affects all that algorithm. You put us at 9, you put Alabama at 1, and if you're going to have any committee argue for us, you're positioning yourself in that spot. And so it's hilarious what's going on because how else do you motivate a kid who is coming in and has no competition? The competition's every week, every day, every snap. And so, I mean, that's where this game's at. And that's why it's insanity to me that this season has gone the way it is. And while we were texting about it earlier, I mean, going into the second pick, just to kind of segue it, I mean, bar none, Kansas is 0-4 away. BYU is undefeated. BYU is playing for more than what Kansas is, and it's at home. There's just no other way to look at it, and it's a 2.5-point game. That's why I put it first. That was the first one that I saw, and I'm like, absolutely. And so back to it. Yeah, thanks, fellas. That's on y'all. So shout out to y'all.
I wanted to make a point that I don't feel like BYU is a true top 10 team in the nation. I think they're winning, and that's awesome. But it's so hard to win in November when you are still undefeated. And I think Kansas could absolutely kind of take advantage of that. I mean, think about it. BYU's got that target on their back, and how often they had to play ball with that in November. And that's the point I was trying to make. But I ain't going against your pick. You're 30-15 on the season, and I don't. I mean,
to be fair,
I was just saying, I could see it happening solely because it's November.
Highlight that one because I think about it and it's even little things. You know, I hedged my bet against because I really bet heavy on Georgia on Ole Miss, and then we saw the condition of the field, and I'm like, oh, under 55, under, just sit it down.
They still almost hit the over 3 points.
But hey, it played
or whatever.
It played outcome. That's outcome versus
that's
what
right.
You see. Production and outcome are two different things.
Well, I was thinking Ole Miss for scoring all the time. I was like, hit the over.
Man, and that goes back to why I won't touch it, man. I didn't expect Jackson to be playing at such a high level. I think that's what they're protecting at this point in the season. I mean, you're going to see a lot of guys argue for Carson Beck, and Carson Beck sucks. He still sucks. 10 and 11 or 11. 10 for 11, 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in conference play before the last game. That's horrendous. And we complain about Nico. But it's just, my gosh. I mean, could we find any more problems? Is it that hard?
So Tennessee plus 11.5. That line has moved to 9.5. But I like that we have it at 11.5 to prove to the people to prove. I'm telling you, this is what I'm saying. So I'm glad that we have this here because it proves that Tennessee was over a 10-point dog because I chose this as my upset pick of the week. And Michael did the handshake deal with me because it moved so quick on us. I mean, this line literally came out at noon today or whatever, and it's already moved 2 whole points in favor of Tennessee. That's crazy. Like,
bet the under.
Are we still feeling confident with it being below the 10-point threshold? Because obviously that's a difference in a field goal touchdown. I mean, are we talking?
I already told you where I'm feeling with this.
I know we feel money line here. I'm talking as a better for best bet. Are we still feeling? Because now it's a 9.5. If they were to win by 10, I just didn't know how that does that change your mind any on this being a best bet with it being a 2-point difference.
I would really, and I'm trying to not wear the orange shades.
That's me too, man. Me too. And it's so hard.
But if you play identity ball, what do you see? And I agreed with your point. Absolutely. When you said that, what he does, my buddy's just throwing nonsense out there. That throws me off. But
I can't believe I can't believe you let people get in your head like that. I just thought you'd be so much better, like mentally strong and not letting folks get in your head like that. But no, I think you were kind of about to bounce to the fact that I mentioned on paper, you look at Tennessee, you look at Georgia defense. I think you lean Tennessee on defense, and then offense. I think you may lean Tennessee right now on offense. I think that's the point that I was making that maybe you were trying. Do we have technical difficulties here? He's been paused, holding his nose like that. Are we playing nose goes?
He looks like
he's totally backed out. I'm gonna just keep my nose. Yeah, but I think that's the point he was going on. But it is hard when you're a Tennessee Vol, podcast.
Yeah,
and you're trying to make a pick that's like not just you want the boys to win type of pick. You're really trying to analyze and come up with something reasonable that backs up that pick. I think it is hard to find it, but I also think it's kind of easy to look at this game and see why Tennessee does absolutely have a money line chance to win this game.
But look, I told you earlier, I would, if I was somebody setting the lines here, I would put this game at probably Georgia minus 5.5 instead of minus 9.5 where it is now, or where it started at minus 11.5. I think that this game, the spread is much closer. Obviously, you have to add about 3 points for home field advantage.
Sure.
I really only think that on a neutral site field that Georgia is a 2.5 point favorite against Tennessee, or maybe even a 1.5 point favorite. So I would have this line at either Georgia minus 4.5 or Georgia minus 5.5, somewhere in that range. I would go no higher than 6.5, Georgia being the favorite.
So that's why it's the best bet at 9.5 right now. If you were to bet it right now, it's 9.5. Not going to speak for Jake, but we're going to keep the segment going because we got his picks already.
Yep.
What's that next one?
His next one is LSU minus 5.5. So this one has actually moved to minus 4.5. So you can get it at a better spot now than you could have earlier. And, you know, we talked about it earlier whenever we were picking the games. If DJ Lagway plays, I don't feel confident with this pick because I think that Florida can absolutely win this game with him at quarterback. Jake just sent a text. He said that his Wi-Fi went out, so we'll see about finishing this segment off for him. But if Lagway doesn't play, I think the LSU covers this and probably covers it up to about 10.5. That's just me. Obviously, I don't know the numbers like Jake does, but that's just me looking at it.
This is one of those things where you make the bet, and then if they come out and say DJ's playing, you cash out. you cash out, get your money. Yeah. But just stay tuned because I do think that LSU does win this game pretty handily if they're down to their third string quarterback again for Florida. I think so, especially after the outing against Bama, right? Like LSU's got to have a chip on their shoulder. At this point, they're probably eliminated, but you don't necessarily want to just fold over, right? I mean, you want to finish strong, build toward next season, finish the right way. I mean, they've only got 3 losses on the season, but again, that chance of making the playoffs probably gone with that third loss, more so because of how humiliating the loss was at home at night, and you lose by 40 basically. I mean, it was not even close. Jalen Milroe ran down your throat. And what's crazy and mind-boggling about that game is you knew that that's what they were going to do, and you still didn't come up with a game plan to prevent it. Tennessee did a great job keeping Milroe in the pocket because we knew that was the only chance we had to stopping them, right? And LSU just couldn't find a way to do it. Credit to Alabama for finally playing to their cards, right? They finally built an offensive game plan around Milroe rather than dropping him back 50 times against Tennessee. But LSU, Florida, keep an eye out on that quarterback. I do like this pick, but if DJ plays, could put a whole nother spin on this game. People are still sleeping on Florida, and I understand that. But guys, Florida's not a bad football team. They just had a bad schedule, a really tough schedule. So
yeah. And I didn't say this earlier, but I do think that this is Florida's best chance to get that 6th win. I mean, technically it would be the 5th. But you're going to pick up a win against Florida State this year.
He's so confident about it now.
Yes.
I got
Florida State is terrible. But so confident. I think that you have a better chance of beating LSU than you do Ole Miss, who is your other game.
Such a terrible schedule.
Yep. Next pick from Jake, it is Texas and Arkansas, the under 55.5. And so the way I look at it for this one, I like it, but it also makes me nervous because I know how explosive Texas can be against teams.
Also, Arkansas.
I mean, Arkansas has got an underrated offense that in some games this year has just absolutely exploded, but they've also disappeared at times too. The LSU game, for instance.
I think he's banking here on Texas's defense, right? I mean, we held Arkansas to 19 and lost, right?
And I think he's banking on Arkansas's defense too because Arkansas's defense is good.
Yep, held us to 14, 13, whatever it was. So yeah, I mean, I think he thinks this is going to be more of just a defensive juggernaut game, which, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, 55 points, guys. This could still be a Texas 38, Arkansas 10, and it's the under. So yeah, could still be a decently high scoring game, especially if Texas handles business. And still be on the under. Justin said that's a hard one because I think he maybe even thinks that it could be a little bit more of a higher scoring game. But honestly, if Texas scores 38 on Arkansas, that's a pretty darn good day. That's a pretty darn good day. You just got to work on keeping Arkansas below that 13 number, right? So, no, I think I like this. I think I like this pick. Arkansas, keep that in mind. We'll see. Yeah. Absolutely.
The last one here, it is Clemson minus 10.5 against Pittsburgh. This has dropped to Clemson minus 9.5. So it's actually a little bit more favorable now.
I don't know about.
This
one I don't know about.
This one, now that it's dropped to 9.5 instead of 10.5, I like it better because that hook plays a big factor right there. I think that it should be. I think that Clemson wins this game by somewhere around 10. So if you get it at 9.5, then if Clemson scores 10, you win. But if you take it at 10.5, you lose that one because of that hook. It is also on the road, I believe. Let me double check that. It is at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Clemson's got an explosive offense that they've shown most of the year, but as of late, they hadn't been playing that well. But also Pittsburgh just fell off a table after they just got absolutely embarrassed by SMU. Did they get beat by Virginia yesterday?
Virginia Tech?
They played
Virginia. Did they lose to actual Virginia? I don't know.
Give me
but I know
just a second. I'll get it pulled up.
So he's probably banking on Clemson having a bounce back game then, right? Because didn't they just take a loss to somebody at Louisville? Maybe who did they lose to? That was really a head scratcher for Clemson because you kind of thought that Clemson was finally hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah,
you kind of thought that they were finally hitting on all cylinders for the first time since they lost to Georgia at the beginning of the year, and then they just got stonewalled by Louisville.
So Virginia beat Pitt last night 24-19.
Wow.
And so after that SMU just beat down that they took, Pitt has kind of fell off the table now.
Sure. Because Virginia's not a good team.
Yeah, Clemson struggled with Virginia Tech yesterday, 24-14, but Virginia Tech's not a bad team. I do think the more that I look at this and just the trends of the way the teams are going, I do think I like this one, especially since it has gone to 9.5 and not sitting at 10.5 now.
Well, I mean, this is a Clemson get-right game after taking that loss to Louisville, right? I mean, this is an absolute revenge game and get back on the right track of things. I mean, as much as we want to crap on Clemson for losing 2 games, if not 3, but I think it's 2 games, they still have every shot in the world to make the ACC championship game. And that's all they could ask for. You win the ACC championship game, it doesn't matter how many losses you have, if I'm not mistaken.
So
you could be a 3-loss team and win your conference and you're in the playoff, right?
That's a conversation we don't have time for on this.
I'm just saying Clemson still has a lot to play for here.
They do, but I also don't think that a 3-loss Clemson ACC champion gets in. That's a conversation we'll have to have.
You brought that up last show, and I think, yeah.
No, I called you this week and brought it up to you about it, but yeah, we don't have time to get into that discussion because
just generality, right? It's the conference champion.
It is, but
they're a Power 4 conference.
It doesn't specify though, Power 4 or Group of 5. It just says highest ranked conference champion.
All right.
Like I said, that's a conversation for a different time. I know. Going back over these picks here, BYU, this has moved to -3.5. We have Tennessee plus 11.5. That has moved to 9.5. And since Doghouse Podcast here, and Trey, we appreciate you tuning in.
We should have done something this week, man. What are we doing? Why did my producer not get this lined up, dude? What are we doing? No, I'm joking.
Hey, after the show, I'll talk to you. We might have something lined up for later this week.
No, I was just pulling your leg, bro. But he asked a good question. I don't know if I think maybe he's got the same mindset that we kind of talked about earlier. I don't think Dog fans are really mad right now. I think they're just disappointed. I think this is kind of where his question's getting at. Like, how is Georgia favored by 9.5? I think he's saying that it should be lower. I think maybe he's saying it's a home game, yeah, but 9.5 is a lot, especially if you look at the way our offense is playing. And I grant you that, but I think a lot of this line, all right, if we must be honest with ourselves, the fact that Tennessee just hasn't beaten Georgia lately, period.
Yeah.
I think we could be. I think we right now. I wouldn't say that we're the better team on paper. I wouldn't. But even if we were, how many times did we go into Florida with a better team on paper and just lose by a lot, ugly? I think this is kind of one of those things where even if we were the better team on paper, we're going into a hostile environment that is Athens. They're going to be loud. I think this has a lot to do with not necessarily what's on paper, not necessarily analytical. This is history. This is Tennessee just doesn't go on the road and beat Georgia in Athens. Hasn't been done since Josh Dobbs. God bless him. But yeah, I think that's why the line's at 9.5, brother. And if you feel any different, let us know.
Yep.
He said Georgia's offense is like a high-powered golf cart. Go-kart.
I love it.
Right on, dude. Thank you for tuning in, brother. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, so LSU, this one has moved to 4.5. The under 55.5 in Texas, Arkansas, and the Clemson minus 10.5 has moved to 9.5. And as always, make sure you bet responsibly. We do have the hotline on the screen here. It is 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-889-9789. Make sure you do not bet money that you do not have. Always bet responsibly.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm sorry that the Rakin with Jake segment that everybody stayed here for 2 hours to watch got cut short. If y'all would like to donate to the channel, I will send you guys my Venmo, and I will give that money straight to Jake so that we can upgrade that freaking Wi-Fi router. Unbelievable. No, I'm joking. But we will get all that kinked out. That's the first time it's ever happened, so I wonder if we got some like weather rolling in or something. I don't know. I'll reach out to him after the show. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Y'all blow it up every week. I mean, we still got over 10, 15 people watching on all the socials right now, and we're 2 hours into this thing. So thank you guys so much. It is dog hate week. It's Georgia week. It's a game where, I mean, I get it. The spread's not so pretty right now, but if we can get some good news on Nico in the midweek, you're not wrong for feeling optimistic about this game.
Yeah.
We got a defense, and anything that I can tell you guys, and I think of like A&M last year, as long as you have a defense that's doing the dang thing, you can win. It doesn't matter how bad your offense is. You can't say that the other way around. You can't say because our offense is so good, we can. No, that's not at all how that works.
There is a reason they say defense wins championships.
Exactly why. And that's exactly right. And so, as long as our defense can hang in there, keep Georgia below 20, if our special teams can make a play, if Boo Carter breaks one, because I think it's going to be your guy moving forward. Who knows? I mean, this could be an absolute dogfight. I'm talking 17-13, whatever. I don't care how ugly it is. I don't care if I have 3 heart attacks in this game. A win is truly a win in this game. And pretty excited about this matchup in Athens at night for all the marbles. What more could you ask for as a Tennessee fan in the offseason?
Yep. You said it, man. And last thing before we hey, Richard, I love it right there. Go Big Orange in this one. That should have been the way to end the show, but I do want to say this. Not going to touch on it long because Skylar hates me talking about it during football season. Tennessee men's and women's basketball looking great so far as Tennessee men's basketball absolutely dominated Louisville yesterday. And I love this new exciting Kim Caldwell offense and defense that she's got going for the Lady Vols. But that's all I'll say about it because, Skylar, I got to keep him happy.
Season, dude.
So.
It's football season. You've literally got 3-4 months after the new year to talk basketball. It's football season, man. I get 4 months of this, dude. That's all I get. And you're gonna come in here with the basketball. No, I'm joking. No, we got some exciting things going on, brother. And luckily for us Tennessee fans, we're decent at everything. So it's fun to talk about everything. So
look, there's a reason why we come on every day or every Sunday and we say this is college athletics at its absolute best.
It really is. Danny White, Plowman, Chancellor Plowman. I mean, they just got the thing rolling. But without further ado, it's a Go Big Orange, and we will catch y'all next week. Hopefully, another victory Sunday. Go Big Orange.
Absolutely.